everyone. Welcome back to my Unprofessional Opinion podcast. I'm your host, Angela. So today we've got part 2 of the series. Today it's all about joy. If you missed the last one, we started this new series about the fruit of the Spirit. We did love last time. If you want to check that out, it'll be linked down below. So joy. So I think a good place to start, because I feel like a lot of people say this. Joy, happiness, they're the same thing. But are they? If you look up the definition of happiness, it just says the state of being happy. So then if you look up the definition of happy, it says feeling or showing pleasure or contentment. And if you look up the definition of joy, it says having joy includes feeling good cheer and vibrant happiness. But joy in its fuller spiritual meaning of expressing God's goodness involves more. It's deep-rooted, inspired happiness. So they're similar because you're happy, you're joyful, but the cause of them is totally different. You can be happy that you got ice cream today. You can be joyful that the family next door who was devout atheists have come to know Jesus. Those are two drastic differences. And just for me personally, I feel like this is something that I deal with because I think I'm normally a pretty upbeat person, pretty positive, pretty happy person. But if something happens, my mood can go from 0 to 100, 100 to 0, whatever, pretty quickly. But that's like a lot of people. A lot of people can have situational happiness. But sometimes when you're in that, it's like you're on top of the world. So you're like, oh, this is the most joy I've ever felt. But then something happens, it all comes crumbling down. So then it just made me think, when I thought everything was great, I was like on top of the world. I thought I was filled with so much joy, because I'm like, oh, everything's great. So this is obviously joy. But was it? Because, if it was, I don't think it would be able to change so quickly. So I feel like a lot of people have that same thing that's just like situational happiness, but where it's just like, oh, you're happy or you're sad or you're mad or whatever in the moment because of what's going on. And so did you even have joy in the first place? And I don't think so. Like I said, I think that there's a lot of people who think joy is synonymous to happiness, to the feeling, to the excitement, to the pleasure, whatever. But it says in the Bible, the joy of the Lord is our strength. Joy comes from God. It doesn't come from being told you did good on this assignment. And Proverbs 17 verse 22 says, a cheerful heart is good medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones. Sometimes we're not feeling up for it. Sometimes we're not feeling joyful. Sometimes we feel defeated, discouraged, whatever. But it also says in the Bible, just be joyful in all circumstances, which is tough because when you're having a rotten day, that's the last thing you want to hear is someone say, oh, cheer up, have joy, whatever, Most times people don't want to hear that, and myself included. But just be joyful that God gave you another day because, we don't know when our time on earth is done, whether you're going to pass away, you're going to die, or Jesus is going to come back. So be joyful that God gave you another day. And, if something rotten is happening, turn it around, Do things that make you happy, because if you're just sitting there moping around, that's not going to help. So, just how do you do that? How do you get out of a funk, whatever you want to say? If you call yourself a Christian, a follower of God, a follower of Jesus, spend time with him. That should be the biggest part of your life. So why would you not want to do that when you're happy or when you're sad or whatever? You should always want to spend that time, so spend time in his word, pray, worship God, and just show gratitude for everything that he's given you. Because, wherever you're listening to this right now, just look around. What do you see? Whether you're outside and you see trees and fields and buildings and cars, or you're inside and you see a couch, a bed, a dresser, a table, whatever. Even the small things, God created them. Just have joy, have gratitude for everything that he's made, everything he's given you. If you're outside right now, look around at the people wearing masks, because there's so many that are different. They're so cool looking. Just small things. Have joy that God gave you another day. So, it's a lot easier said than done, but don't dwell in what you don't have. Don't dwell in the what ifs. Don't hang on to those, because that's not going to improve your situation at all, there's always going to be something better. There's going to be something that you wish you had, that you did, whatever. But don't bring yourself down. Just do things you enjoy. Don't just sit around moping, because God wants you to use your time and invest in people and do activities that you love. Do things that bring you joy, whatever that is, whether that's hanging out with this person, going to a coffee shop, spending time with God, getting to know new people, trying new activities. We're all so different. Maybe just sitting and reading a book. That's like my sister. My sister loves reading. Spend time doing what you love, being with who you love, and then pray that God will fill you with joy, because we're all going through, our life is like a roller coaster. We've got ups, we've got downs, we've got corners, all those things. Pray that God will help you get on that uphill climb and just enjoy living for Him. Because I feel like some people just think God's up there sitting, wagging His finger at us, but He's a loving God. He's patient, He's understanding and merciful, even when we're not feeling it, when we're feeling down. And He doesn't want to see us like that, He wants us to live for Him. He wants us to have joy in our hearts. So even when you're frustrated or upset or angry or whatever, just know that He's there. He's waiting for you. Just how can that not bring you joy? How can that not comfort you? And again, I'm not saying that this is easy, because it's not. But if you bring this to God, you bring all your troubles to God, He's gonna help you through it. It might not be the snap of a finger like you want, but He's going to help you. He wants to. He wants to hold your hand and guide you. And so many people say, like, everything that's going on in the world right now, how can you be joyful? How can you not be frustrated? How can you not be down? And, I'm not saying that you're never going to be frustrated, because you are. But even with everything that's happening right now, God knew this was going to happen. And we would be like, why would He let this happen? Why would He not stop it if He's perfect and He can do anything? But God has such a perfect plan. If everything was easy, if everything was perfect, what would be the point of having a relationship with Him? Because it's like you don't need anything, And because we're selfish people, we always want to get something out of it, So if there wasn't trouble in the world, if there wasn't discouragement, trials, hard times, evil, could you honestly say that you would be a follower of God? And even if you did, do you think your faith would be as strong? Because as hard as it is, we're selfish people. We want to get something out of everything. So even though it can be tough, just have joy that God gave you another day. You can live another day for Him. You can go out and talk to people, build relationships, learn new skills, grow deeper in your understanding. So it's going to be tough, but just bring that to God and He'll help you get through it. Anyways, that's it of this episode of my Unprofessional Opinion podcast. I've been your host, Angela. Thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for new episodes every Wednesday. If you have any ideas, suggestions, comments, messages, whatever, just feel free to leave them down below, or on my Instagram, it's at MUO Podcast. I'll see you guys next time. Bye, folks.